Beautiful.
The following program is an exclusive Disruption Networks production.
Help the D make strides against breast cancer by donating to our Real Men Wear Pink page, maine.acsevents.org/Utica. It's important for us as a whole to help raise awareness, education, and do our part to help fight this horrible disease. The Disruption team will be raising funds at upcoming events and all our daily programming. Please support our cause by donating a few dollars to our Real Men Wear Pink page. To learn more, visit maine.acsevents.org/Utica or follow the donation link on our Facebook page. Help the D, save the bees, and put an end to breast cancer.
Thank you for your service, you're welcome. A comedy benefit show for our veterans. In support of the Central New York Veterans Outreach Center. On November 10th at Wakely's, 700 Varick Street, Utica, join Disruption Network as they team up with 92.7 FM The Drive for this night of laughter. The evening will be hosted by Genesee Joe from The Drive. Performances by Mike Ciccone, Paul Kozlowski, Cortland Cluse, Mike Pileggi, and DJ Ease One. Admission is by donation only. Please bring clothes, socks, gloves, non-perishable food items, or a small monetary donation. All donations will go to the Central New York Veterans Outreach Center. Saturday, November 10th at Wakely's on Varick Street. Doors open at 7 p.m. Show starts at 8 p.m. Thank you for your service is sponsored by The D, 92.7 FM The Drive, Paulie's Barbershop, NYE Volkswagen of Rome, Frank's Guns, and Central New York Seal Coating and Concrete.
So you just bought your dream home, and now it's time to move. Let's face it, nobody likes to move. All the packing, unpacking, lifting, upstairs, downstairs, and broking everything, including your back. Let the professionals at EJA Moving Company take all the stress and pain out of your move. Competitively priced moving, relocation services, office moves, and complete packing and unpacking services. They work with everybody to make it simple and easy for you to move and relocate. Call EJA Moving Company at 315-335-0516. When it's time to relocate, have EJA Moving do all the work for you. Hit them up online, ejamoving.com.
Hey, Disruption Network. This is Mike Sacco, the general manager at NYE Volkswagen of Rome. If you don't know me by name, it's only because you have not received the best deal. There's only one reason to leave Utica, and that's to come see me in Rome and get the best deal on your next new, pre-owned, or certified VW. Mention that you heard this ad from Disruption Network and receive $250 off your next vehicle purchase. You'll know why our customers say, I love my NYE VW. Come see us at 5865 Rome Taberg Road in Rome or visit us online at nyevwofrome.com.
The Property Sisters of the Mohawk Valley was born when 3 top producing agents with over 25 years of combined experience selling real estate joined forces to take real estate to the next level. We practice with honesty, integrity, and the knowledge to help make the buying and selling process easy and stress-free for all of our clients. We pledge to always make our clients our top priority from start to finish and even after the house is closed. We will always be a valued resource for information and assistance for our buyers and sellers. Our customers over the years have become not only past clients, but great friends. As we join hands together as the Property Sisters of the Mohawk Valley, we look forward to serving our clients and our community and making a positive difference. You can reach us at 315-601-9630 for all of your real estate needs.
The Disruption Network is making moves. For upcoming events, news, interviews, and new daily programming, keep in the loop with us at DisruptionNetwork.net. Like, follow, and subscribe to all our social media. And check out all our podcasts on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify. Get up on the D, DisruptionNetwork.net.
YOLO, infidels, that's right. It's Hacker Hameen.
This is Al Schneer from the band Mo.
Hey, this is Corey Glover from Living Color.
And you're listening to EC Radio.
And you're listening to EC Radio.
Live on EC Radio with the Z-Man. So take the pizza out of your fat moron mouse. Sit back and listen before I give you a $5 face slap. You'll never forget, infidels. YOLO.
Welcome to EC Radio Podcast. We would like to thank all of our sponsors for joining the Disruption team, and we hope that you will support all of our sponsors. And of course, we appreciate you listening to this program.
EC Radio, Disruption Networks. EC Radio, Disruption Networks.
Boys and girls, children of all ages, it is time to get your day disrupted by that distorted little voice coming through your ear hole. It's me, Z. How are you, baby? We're doing it up big today. Banana. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Typical Monday for me. Nothing going right, as always. But that's okay. I'm used to it. Such is life in podcasting world. Pretty pumped about today's show. Got an old friend, an old chum, an old drinking buddy, if you will, joining me via the Skype line, via Charlotte, North Carolina. My friend Marc Jacksina, who's an executive chef over at Earl's Grocery, and also the co-founder and host of Order Fire TV, which is Charlotte's original culinary video web series. And I'm sure he's bringing the schkadol over to Charlotte, if you will. Marc Jacksina joining me today. Marc, how are you, man? Good to see you, and thanks for taking time out of your busy day to come talk to me, man.
It's good to see you as well, brother. Hey, that was a hell of an intro. I'm freaking, you just made my day.
Why? Because of the
I sound way more important than I am.
What, because of the schkadol?
No, the schkadol is a whole different story. True story, though. I did bring escarole. I did Utica Greens down here, like first restaurant that I worked at, and then when I opened up my spot, we had it on every Saturday, Sunday brunch.
You're getting me right into it, and you're going to make me hungry today. I know that. But I'm sure you brought a lot of culinary dishes from Utica down to Charlotte, correct? Other than other than the greens?
Yeah, dude, they've popped up on every menu. There's no way that you can't. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you grew up in Utica, you're going to eat that anyway. So you had to turn them on to chicken riggies.
That's $10 right there.
Thank you. All you guys are on the ball.
Every time Marc mentions chicken riggies, $10 goes to the Joe Sweet College Fund. So,
all time that I got an education. Love you, Joe.
Yeah, it's weird because even outside of Utica, say in Syracuse or Rochester, if you go to any of these restaurants you see on the menu, Utica Greens, Utica Chicken Riggies, it always has Utica in front of the dish, and it's humbling and it's cool to see, actually, especially when you're out of town.
Let me ask you a question though. What was it like down there when Rachel Ray picked up on that shit?
Well, it was cool. It exploded a little bit. I'm sure sales went through the roof when she picked up on it and stuff. Do you know indirectly I had a little something to do with that?
How'd you do that?
Well, her husband was playing the electric company one weekend, and he's a musician. John Cusimano had a band called The Breaks or something like that. I can't remember what the hell the name. There's so many bands throughout the years, but and he asked me for a place to go eat, so I sent him to Joey's. I sent him to our friend Brownie's place, and he had chicken riggies, and he thought it was phenomenal. He got on the phone with his wife and told her what he was eating, and boom, 6 months later, she's doing a show about it. So. Weird.
You sent him to the right spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, is that where you got your start?
Yeah, for all intents and purposes. I worked at Grimaldi's when I was still a little skate rat. So if you can imagine my white ass showing up with a mohawk, a skateboard, rolling into Grimaldi's in the early '80s to wash dishes and do prep work. But that's sort of where I cut my teeth. I cut my teeth there. I worked for Carmela's and opened up Babes. I was actually their chef for that. But Joey's is really where I cut my teeth. It was my favorite restaurant before. So getting a job there was it blew my mind at 23.
Now, how long have you been gone from Utica?
We moved here about 15 years ago.
Pretty much when the mass exodus was leaving. I feel like the 90s, everybody just took off.
I know. And the thing is I was thinking about this and knowing that we had this coming up. So I've been catching up with your podcasts. And it's, it was one of those things where it was you and Joe Sweet never gave up on Utica. All of us were always talking about everybody's Utica sucks. It doesn't have to suck, guys. Doesn't have to suck. Just put, dig in your heels and make things happen. And you guys jumped in on Varick Street real quick, which, I always thought not only was a great move because of the rent, but because of just how awesome that whole district has always looked. I grew up right there. That's my side of town. So, we finally had to pull up stakes. We had our second child by that point. I really wanted to do something as a chef, and I just didn't see Utica getting behind it at that point, and I couldn't wait. You know, this business. My business will grind you into a fine powder real quick. So
No
it's like,
doubt.
when you're in your prime, man, you got to go.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, what's the culinary scene down in Charlotte like? Is it anything comparable to what we got going on up here? Probably more because it's a bigger market, of course.
Yeah, Charlotte's huge. When I moved down here, we specifically chose Charlotte. Number one, because my in-laws were here, and number two, Johnson & Wales had just moved their culinary program from South Carolina up here. So there was you knew that something was going to happen here. So I wanted to be at the forefront. At that point, it's banker town anyways. We're the second largest banking city in the country after New York. So you had steak houses, and that was about it. The dining scene here was pretty bleak. There was a couple of guys that were really swatting out some great food, doing stuff. Nothing, it's not a food city and never has been up until recently like Utica. The one thing you can say about Utica, no matter where you go, this town, like that town, Utica, it's hard to have a bad meal there.
Yeah, I agree there. And there's such a different culture going on up here. I mean, you could get great Italian food, of course, but then there's, the good Chinese and there's good sushi. You could get some great sushi up here and Lebanese food and Greek and all that. So it's not just Italian. And a lot of people just think it's focused on Italian, and it's really not. It's pretty much anything for anybody, really.
That was the one thing when we got down here, I think I missed probably more than really good bread was you won't know until you get out. Like once you leave Utica, like finding really good bread or great pizza, it's like whale watching. You just keep looking and looking and looking into the distance longingly, and you're like, please let there be a loaf of bread. Please let there be some good pizza. Sadly, we don't have great pizza here in Charlotte. A couple of spots get real close.
Is it really true about the water in the pizza?
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, I have some recipes that we brought from Utica to here, and those recipes worked in restaurants where people love the pizza. So I feel pretty confident in the recipe. The water definitely has something to do with it.
Huh? Because I've always heard that it had something to do with it, and I didn't think it was true. I was like, really, how can water really affect it? But what is it with the water? Do you know?
The best one was somebody said, "Oh, it's the humidity here," and I'm like, "Y'all ain't never been to Utica." They don't know about humidity.
How about for a punk rock skate kid such as yourself? How's the scene down in Charlotte?
Charlotte, man, it's all right. So we're experiencing right now in Charlotte probably what most cities are. I just heard you guys have, this kind of floored me. So there's some apartments, condos in Utica that are renting for $1,400-$1,800 a month.
They're popping up left and right now.
Crazy, yeah. So this is Charlotte. Like we're watching these beautiful neighborhoods get torn down. Regentrified. The neighborhood not that we live in, but that for the most part, me, my wife, my boys hang out in. We've done our business there. My restaurant was in Plaza Midwood. It's a lot like Varick Street meets Austin. Really like packed with bars and restaurants. A lot of people out and about. Somewhat dangerous back in the day. Now it's like Chad's and Becky's, dude, a lot of plaid. And like you could buy a house there for $40,000 when we moved here. You can't buy that house for under $500,000 now.
Just people are flooding to that town, huh?
It's crazy. But with that being stated, so we got the Milestone, which is one of the oldest running punk rock clubs in the country, still open. We had Tremont that was open for a while. Hosts of great bands have been through there. I saw everything from hip hop all the way through to young punk bands. Gaslight Anthem, Murdered by Death played there. One of the last shows that I saw. We had the Double Door, which was a blues joint. Eric Clapton's played there. B.B. King's been through there. A lot of times they would play there just because they were blowing through the area. That got torn down. Parking garage. So there's live music every week. We have so many fucking breweries here, dude. Like too many breweries, and every one of those breweries has live music 4 or 5 nights a week. So it's great for live music, but also not great because we've lost some of the heritage this city had.
Really? Huh, that surprises me.
The Minutemen played their final show here.
Is there a local band out of Charlotte right now that's huge?
Avett Brothers.
Avett
Maybe you heard
Brothers.
of them.
That's who I was thinking of. Avett Brothers.
Yeah, they're right out of Concord, so they're like 20 minutes from here. Their dad used to drink at the watering hole that I used to hang out at all the time.
That's good.
It's just weird, more than anything else. Be like, oh, that's the Avett Brothers' dad. Jim's just this, unassuming dude that, like, if you said something nice about his sons, you just watch his face light up like anybody else's dad. Just a really, really nice family.
They blew up quick too. Those guys got really popular fast.
To you guys, they did. Lauren, we first came down here way back in the day. Like, they were busking outside this wine bar, like near my in-laws' house.
Wow. Like,
just playing outside. So we were already kind of aware of them, but when they did blow up, it went quick.
Yeah.
It was like percolating. It's not like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a comparable band. I can't.
Yeah.
But Moe's never really blew up the same way.
Yeah,
they just got longevity.
On a different level. Mo kind of leveled off. They hit their popularity, and then they kind of leveled off, and they're still at that level too. Which is great.
You don't have Rick Rubin doing the production. I mean, let's face it.
Yeah, right.
Something to be said for that.
So the nightlife pretty much in Charlotte's just banging, right? For the most part.
Yeah and no. All right. So this is the weirdest thing about Charlotte, dude. What time you guys go out for dinner in Utica still?
6
really?
o'clock. Yeah, I'm an early bird.
But I mean, it used to be like you could go walk into a joint even up to like 10 o'clock, still banging it out, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Charlotte, dude, 7:30. That's when everybody goes out to eat. That's like when I'm still like that at like 5 o'clock. I start getting like the squirrels get loose in the attic. Like they're all busting around up there, and there ain't nobody walking in the door for another hour and a half. And it's because of traffic more than anything else. But so it's not completely fair. There's a nightlife here, but not for a city this size. You would think there'd be a lot more going on. But at about 10:30, 11 o'clock, there's a huge drop-off.
Right on. I want to change it up real quick and talk about Order Fire TV. I love what you guys are doing at Order Fire. For those that don't know, is Marc's web series, and he features a lot of culinary arts down around the Charlotte area. And what you guys are doing is amazing. And it's funny because I feel like you and I are kind of like on parallel levels a little bit. We kind of started at the same time doing our web series and our podcast or whatever, and watching where you've grown and how it's transitioned into, like, you have another show with a drinking show, and it's really starting to take off, man. Talk about Order Fire and like what it means to you and how important it is for you to feature chefs and culinary arts from Charlotte.
Yeah, man. So like to butt it up really quick. So we left Utica and I got down here. No, there's not the same sort of camaraderie, or there wasn't. Like in Utica, man, everybody knew who was working everywhere else,
True.
Competitive a little bit, but at the same time, like everybody was pretty tight. When we got down here, there wasn't that same connection between every restaurant. At this point now, it's completely different. That's what sets the Charlotte dining scene from, like, say, Charleston or Atlanta, for instance, comparable size cities. So we started collecting the story. I got done doing fine dining. I sort of hit that pinnacle of my cooking career, did James Beard House. National press started paying attention to what was going on with me, and honestly, I got up my own ass more than anything else. And it was one of those situations where I needed to get out of fine dining. I needed to get back to cooking the way that I grew up cooking, and be more like Joe Condi was to me when I was a young cook, and try to find some place where I could work with young cooks and maybe find somebody who didn't know that's what they wanted to do, in a mentor kind of way. So anyways, with that going on, I still needed the creative outlet that I was, that I got with particularly the upper end of fine dining, that I was like, that was my gig. Like, change the menu as often as I could daily, was what we were really trying to do on a day-to-day basis. So when I got done, I found that, number one, I had some free time, which was unusual for me, especially at that point. I mean, I went from working 120 hours a week to taking a break, not working. So I got to go have lunch with a couple of chef friends and a couple of food writers, and going to have lunch was a foreign concept to me. And I know it's weird, that's sort of a reality wake. For me, it was a reality. It was like, why isn't this not normal? Why is it like to actually sit down and eat and have a meal during the day was foreign. But while I was out doing this, we went and I took him to a little fried chicken shack down the street from my house. It's a halal joint owned by some Middle Eastern family. So imagine the South going for fried chicken, but it's actually done by a bunch of Middle Easterns. This place is great. So I wanted to show it off to my friends, and then from there we went over to a buddy of mine's farm. And this conversation that we were having, it started dawning on me. I was like, this is something that I could get back in. Like, I can get back into writing, and I can get back into writing about this. And it was like, take a fine dining chef and some like line cook that nobody knows, or a food truck operator that's not getting the press, and like do this thing. That's not what happened, but that was the genesis of where I wanted to go. And then my producer, Pete Taylor, who we had met on a photo shoot that he was working on featuring chefs and Southern farmers. He was at Earl's Grocery chit-chatting with he was having a meeting with somebody, and then we got kind of caught up, and he's like, well, what's going on? And I sort of told him about this thing that I was thinking about doing for writing. I'm like, I think I'm going to try to freelance. I think I'm going to try to get something going. There's a couple of magazines that have reached out to me in the past and, if you want to do something. So I told him about what I was working on, and he was sort of working on the same project. And he goes, well, maybe, I can come along and set up a video camera and I'll videotape it. Now, dude, I'll be honest with you, I was not going for the videotape thing. Like, seriously, it was like my uncle going, you know what you need? It's a bongo player behind your poetry. Dude, no fucking way. I just wasn't going to do it. So I just sort of I gave him some lip service and walked back, and I was just like, whatever. 2 months later, he had he reached back out and said, I'm serious. If you want to do something with this, let's do it. And by that point, I'd started to calm down a little bit out of my own ass. I kind of like pulled my head back a little bit and started saying yes to doing things that were not self-serving. So I told Pete that, I said, yeah, we'll give it a shot. And that's sort of like, that's the genesis. That's how we got to it. When we first started doing it, the idea was that we would talk to our friends, and just do this. What we're doing right now, This is how my conversations with Order Fire go. Although as it's progressed, I've learned how not to talk and just turn my head a lot and just look at them, and people just give you stories like you just did to me.
Indeed.
So, but what this, the thing is for me is like when Sal Amico used to come into Joey's, like he'd come in off of like, playing in New York, and he'd tell me these stories. And dude, I love listening to other people, like when they're talking about their stuff, when they just start bearing it all out like that. I love that. Like, I love listening to like my wife's grandfather when he was still alive tell me stories. I love when I was going to bars. It was one of my favorite things was just to find a stranger and like get them to start talking and like listen to their stories. To me, it's not only a great way to pass the time, but I find I got way more connections with people that I never like. You look at them and go like, nah, I wouldn't have anything in common with that person.
I take it you're a little more comfortable with the video now, though.
Yeah, I've gotten there. It's still, I don't know how you feel about it. It's still weird. Like, I look at it and now I see like every fucking tick, the beard touching, all of this stuff that you don't notice, and it drives me crazy.
So, were you just thinking as a blog or something? You were going to just focus it?
Yeah, it was just going to be an article, really. And then Pete said, let's film it. And so we got the first episode done, which has never been aired. There was the guy that we interviewed ended up not being at the restaurant by the time we got to that point. Number two, it was over formatted. Like, we came in with not quite a script, but a timeline of how we wanted like everything to go. And it didn't feel organic at all. It felt forced. I was uncomfortable as an interview person. The person that was interviewing, thank God, is gregarious as fuck. So he carried it more than anything else. But honestly, it was not compelling. Like, we went back and watched it on top of it. Not compelling, not to any fault of our guest, just really us doing a dry run. So our second episode featured Clark Barlow. Clark is a good friend of mine. He is farm to fork in a way that most people only dream of. He limited himself to the North Carolina boundaries for pretty much everything. So he goes out, he forages for his own mushrooms. Like, he made hornet's nest soup. This is the second year doing it.
What?
I know. Exactly. I know that's exactly it. I've still not wanted to taste it, but apparently it's an Appalachian delicacy. Take that for what it's worth.
What is it?
It's soup. It's a soup made from bee's nest.
Does it taste like chicken?
I guess so. I've watched. He's got some video where he goes out. What he does is he hits he'll find like a ground hornet's nest and just dump liquid nitrogen into it, and then pull it and like dig the nest out. That's what they make it from. Sometimes I guess there's a stray bee in there. Now, obviously, that's not how they did it hundreds of years ago or 100 years ago. But anyways, Clark was our first guest, and once we got the shoot done, I think we were all starting to feel, we're pretty excited about the project. We felt that we got a good interview and that it was going to be all right. And then we're like, well, we should do a premiere party. This was Joel Tracy, who does a lot of our graphic design work. He worked for the Charlotte Hornets for a while. Oh, cool. So he's done some really cool stuff. He calls himself a design twat. He pretty much hit it. That's about it. We've gotten into some interesting conversations, if you will, about how the look of things. You being from Central New York, you know what that means. Yeah. But you got to learn to give it up to the people that are the pros. That's the thing about doing it as a team. Sometimes you just you have to let the big man slam dunk, let the point guard dish the ball, do your job. So Joel pitched the idea of doing a premiere party, which he thought would help generate some interest in the web series itself. Mm-hmm. So we found our partners at Free Range Brewery. They had just recently opened up. It was a long haul. We were waiting for that brewery to open for almost 4 years. In Charlotte was legendary. Like the amount of detail that went into everything had to be just right. They weren't just going to open and be pretty and put out crappy beer, and they weren't just going to open up and put out good beer without looking nice. So the Jason and Alexander and their wives and partners like put their work in. So they had the space available, and they were like, "Yeah, come on and do it." And it reminded me a lot of like when Joe Sweet used to host our poetry nights.
Oh yeah, at the old coffee shop.
Dude, it was the same. It felt exactly the same. It was like, hey guys, we're doing this little thing, and we'd like to know if we could use your back room. We'll give you some exposure and put your name on a flyer. And that's exactly what this was. So we went in on a Sunday, and we had like 200 people show up.
Wow.
For this premiere party. Yeah, I know. And it's like, 200 people's not, we're not fucking Iron Maiden. It's not like we're not selling out some arena someplace, but 200 people to show up on a Sunday afternoon for, something so specialized as this. It was kind of humbling, but also at the same time, like kind of stupid, right?
Well, it's got to make you think we got something here, though.
Yeah. But it's like, so I had just I'm still running off of the whole. I'm not selling my soul to the restaurant business anymore. So Sundays was family day for me now. Like I was trying to be home, and all of a sudden this was something that we're like, oh, the idea was as soon as it happened, they were like, we should do this every month. And I'm like, I don't really want to do this every month. Like Sunday's my family day. Already you're taking my other day off to film. I know it sounds horrible. It's so selfish. It's unbelievable. But that was where my mindset was at. So we went ahead and did the second episode, which is one of my best friends, Blake Hartwick. And we had our next guest is going to be the Mark Wilson and Brian Wilson. They own a bar down here, which I'll get into with in a little bit. I'm sure you guys might be familiar with. So anyways, their band played. And as we got ready to go, Blake decided that he was going to throw a raffle out for 2 tickets for Taste of the NFL. Blake's been the Carolina Panthers chef for Taste of the NFL, which raises money for No Kids Hungry. He's been doing that for, I think a decade now. So he raffled off dinner for 2. There were 2 tickets for that, and I forgot what the value was now. It's like probably $300, $10 a ticket. We did 20 tickets. And then all that money went to Taste of the NFL. No kids left hungry. And from that episode on, we've done a raffle and raised money every time we've gotten together for one of these premieres. And we end up raising over $10,000 a season. And all that money goes to community-based charities. That's for me. That's awesome. That's why I do the premiere parties. Mm-hmm. So it's really just a bunch of white people coming together and drink beer, and then we take their money.
Now, before we went on air, we were talking about how you're raising money. We raise money too. It's kind of funny how the stoner burnout kids are actually out there doing positive things in our communities, huh?
Yeah, it's like I remember my girlfriend's mom like telling her like you should find another boyfriend, like he's going to amount to nothing, he's no good. And I'm not saying that I'm anything amazing or great. This is like the fact that I can help facilitate better people than myself to throw money into a basket to give to somebody. I'll take it. Like I'm happy with that. I can sleep well with that at night anyways. But it is hilarious if you think about it. Like the power of every single person that's listening to this right now could probably raise $1,000 for some charity, some worthy cause, some community coalition or get together that is worth it. So.
Indeed. That's the one thing about Utica that I really love about it. It's a very giving community. There's fundraisers and benefits and charities going on all the time, and people are so quick to lend a helping hand. That's for sure.
That's the one thing that I think overall, I think that's what I brought into Charlotte. I think my gift to my adopted hometown has been what you just said. I mean, I still am friends with a lot of people that I grew up with and worked with in New York. Obviously you and I have stayed in contact over the years through social media. And even with like as highly charged as times are right now, it's amazing that like you can watch people like get into the deepest arguments. Utica people. Let me be specific here. I can watch these people get into like huge, like just if that was in a bar, they'd be throwing blows. Yeah. And then like 20 minutes later, they're like, "Oh my God, my grandfather's got is having a benefit." And the person that was just screaming the loudest, like, "You're wrong," all of a sudden is like, "Here's $100." And there's, it's like, that's one thing I love and miss about Utica more than anything else. It's a certain amount of thick skin.
Yeah, because the weather's so cold up here, you got to have some kind of thick skin around here.
It's that and the morbid. Yeah, I think that gives us the morbid sense of cynicism. But we share it. We share it. It's a gift.
No doubt. Man. Back to Order Fire, though. You're in the middle of like your fourth season right now?
Yeah, so we just kicked off season 4.
Okay.
We did. So the last season, I want to do a quick backtrack. Last season, we went larger. We went really, we really put in travel time. We had a huge dinner, raised a bunch of money to help fund our show so we could go and travel. So we went up to Virginia and ended up staying up overnight there at Rappahannock River Oysters. Those guys are good friends of mine. So it was awesome to go up and really see where they're at now, check out the production facility, do our interview, eat some amazing food right there on the Chesapeake Bay, and then hit Guar Bar, which was, if you ever go through RVA and don't go to Guar Bar, you're really failing at life. Guar, you guys know Guar is, right?
Of course.
Joking, dude.
They have their own bar?
I think you turned me on to Guar.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like a conversation thing. I was thinking about this the other day because I was running through how long I've known you, and I'm thinking of all these random things. You're not that friend that I have that was you can remember right when it happens. I'm like Joe Sweet, for instance. I know exactly where I met him. Yeah. Rich Stemmer, I know exactly where I met him. Mm-hmm. Then I think you just kind of faded in, like reverse Homer Simpson into my life, out of the bush into my life. Hold here.
Well, you mentioned earlier doing the poetry readings at Sweet's Coffee Shop back in the day, and that was mid-'90s, early 90s right there.
Early 90s, yeah. So Joe's, Joe I've known since, late 80s, skateboarding. We met him in Sal, I think on the plaza in Rome.
Wow.
Liberty Plaza, damn. So anyways, Order Fire. So anyways, this season, so one thing that we noticed last season going outside of our region completely is that we didn't feel that our events were as well attended as they had been in the past. I don't know that means that it was as successful or unsuccessful as a season. I don't know, because for me, we never started this thing to be like a premiere party thing. It was supposed to be great interviews, and we did that. But at the same time, we felt like, okay, well, maybe we stepped too far out for people like hometown people to be interested in. And on top of it, I mean, there's now a couple more similar events going on, not exactly the same. And there's also, we're not the new game in town anymore. It's like, we've been here, so it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like McDonald's. It's like you get so used to it. I don't want to compare it to McDonald's. God, that was horrible. But you know what I'm saying. So, anyways, this season we're focusing we're going to focus on Charlotte. We want to talk more about Charlotte, and with all the change that's been going on here, and it's really, really obvious now. Like in a year's time, these condos that have been waiting to sort of like open up and let the locusts of Plaid, cool neighborhoods, all these things have opened up, and I've watched once kind of gritty, cool neighborhoods turn into electro scooter riding douchebags. And I hate to say that, like, it's not fair to say it, but it just doesn't feel the same. I feel like my adopted neighborhood in this town has gotten co-opted. Like what used to be kind of punk and gritty is now, it looks like a Gap ad. I mean, it's
strip mall after strip mall.
Yeah, but almost. If you own a business there, like, it's awesome. You're doing good, and I want to see the people that own the businesses do well. And I do. And I mean, the people that live there, I mean, I can't knock them for having the money and the ability to live there. But at the same time, I sort of lament what was there. It just, Charlotte is constantly knocking things down and putting up new stuff. And the funny thing is, as soon as they get done putting up the new stuff, they go, oh, it would be great. Something that was just like what we tore down. So it's true. Like, we did this with a trolley line. When we moved here, they had just got done like glazing over the last trolley line. It's like everything's asphalt, no trolleys. Dude, not even a year later, they're like, Charlotte needs a trolley. And so they started they started tearing up the city 13 years ago, putting in a trolley line. I don't know. I can't figure it out.
Sounds like just a bunch of wasted money right there.
Well, yeah and no. I'll be honest with you. I ride the trolley on a regular basis. I kind of dig it. It's free.
Yeah.
So that's
cool.
But anyway, so we decided that we wanted to, like, we were looking at what we should do. We talked about, like, are we going to do another season? Should we stop? Have we hit it? Is that it? Should we just walk away? So we took a look at where we're at and what we thought we could tell, and well, let's talk about change in Charlotte. Like, let's go after the human ingredient, which is our tagline, and that's sort of what makes our show. I think that's why people enjoy it. With the ice road truckers, nobody really gives a shit about driving a truck on ice, but people find the people relatable. And I think that's sort of which is why our show works with people that aren't industry, because we're not really in there talking about, like, so how many tablespoons are in a cup? Like, that is not relevant.
Right.
6 is the answer. But so we decided to focus on change. So we did episode 1, which was with Frank Schiavelli. He's a Northeast guy, moved down here and opened his restaurant 26 years ago, which in a city like Charlotte says a lot. Frank has opened, I forgot how many. He's got 4 concepts going right now. He sold one recently for like $16 million or $32 million. I don't even remember. He's almost embarrassed to say how many millions it is. And we talked about it, but that's my takeaway. Wasn't the amount of money that he made on selling this concept. It was him, really, more than anything else. For a guy that is arguably rather wealthy, doesn't carry himself like that way, So we did that, and then our second episode, we had to bail on. We have a farmer that I've been wanting to do, and this guy's like a Luddite. He doesn't do social media. He'll group text or email and respond to that, but for the most part, like, he's when you think of like an Amish farmer, that's sort of what he's like. He's not Amish, but that's sort of what Sammy's like. And we wanted to film him right like in middle of July when everything's blooming. His farm is gorgeous. But he's a farmer and he's busy, and he's got, it's just him and his wife and his kids and a couple hired hands doing hard work. So we weren't able to get him on. So we ended up doing the drink order for our second episode, which was amazing. Bob Peters is our host, and for that, and he does such great work. Yeah. Bob was my bartender the minute I moved to Charlotte.
How many episodes does he have under his belt?
So his episodes are shorter than mine. So in theory, he has 6 episodes under his belt. We did 4 of those episodes last season for his premiere party. This season, they went a little bit longer. His episodes, and we did 2 for this one. And so like people that show up to that, people that come out to our event, they always get the sample wares. So I mean, coming into sample free cocktails from 2 of the city's better mixologists. That's not bad. So people show up for free drinks for sure.
Right on. You mentioned Farm to Fork. Is Farm to Fork a big happening thing down there? Farm to Table, as we call it up here?
Yeah. I think well, all right. So that's a two-part answer. Yeah. Charlotte definitely is. We have a tremendous amount of agriculture around us. That was one of the other reasons why I wanted to move here. Similar to Utica and having, farms everywhere around. Down here was the same thing. It's this big city surrounded by country and like a lot of farmers. And that was something that when I was working at the Alexander Hamilton Inn, like I really enjoyed bringing our local farmers in and using those ingredients. And on top of it, I mean, it's just cool to go like, I know where this came from. Like this person, like who you become friends with, raised this pig or grew these greens,
Right.
And did it specifically for you. So yeah, Charlotte is definitely farm to fork, farm to table, whatever you want to call it, conscious. I think we're trying to get away from that because it's honestly been diluted so much, particularly in a market this size, that it really doesn't mean the same thing. We've got people that own restaurants that buy, they'll buy greens from one particular farmer. That's the only thing on their menu. And that's great. I think if every restaurant could find a way to support local agriculture, even if it's just buying one thing, that's awesome. But the problem is then they're like, we're farm to fork. No, you're not. You're buying from a local farmer. Farm to fork's like my buddy Paul, who's buying everything from local farms. When we were doing Halcyon at the Mint Museum, we were almost farm to fork, but in the way that people think about it, they figure you're within, 30, 40 miles. I mean, I was bringing my pork from my buddy Adam Muzak up in Virginia because it was a great story, and Adam's my buddy. So, I think it's a term that it's sort of like organic. It doesn't necessarily mean what you think it means.
Right.
Is that fair?
Yeah,
right.
That's absolutely fair.
Yeah, absolutely fair.
I got a little.
So, anyways, so we were talking. So I just want to finish up. So I had said the bar there that you guys have probably heard of. If you guys have seen on Facebook, particularly in these clickbait articles where it's like, they'll show a house in China where a highway runs up to and just stops, these really weird buildings for no reason that exist. The Thirsty Beaver Saloon is a orange cinder block honky tonk next to the train tracks in Plaza Midwood, which is where my restaurant Lulu was. It's tiny, it's grimy, and it's fiercely independent. So it existed on this piece of property next to the train tracks in an area of town that was already a little seedy, and it was down in an area that was even more seedy because it was like train tracks and some trees, and it just people felt unsafe, I guess, with that particular little neck of the woods. And they probably about 6 years ago, the property around it started to get gobbled up. Like they bought this church that had been abandoned, beautiful church. And I was like, somebody needs to put a recording studio, like anything into there. I imagine like it just would have been amazing. Instead, first it was pitched that they were going to put a gas station in on the corner, like like the QuickTime or Nice and Easy or whatever they got going on nowadays. And that didn't end up happening because the guy that owns the property the bar's on wasn't going to sell it. So this other guy comes in and buys up another piece of land around it. And basically what you ended up with was this huge piece of property and a little pie-shaped wedge that the Thirsty Beaver Saloon sat on. And then the condo developers came in, and they ended up fencing the bar in, like right up to the side door where it was a fire hazard. Like if there was a fire in the front, they would have killed everybody inside because the fence stopped the back door from opening. Oh. So therein began the horrible. And Plaza Midwood is fiercely loyal. There was a place called the Penguin that was on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives with Guy Fieri.
Yes.
Yeah. So they went into this place called the Penguin, and that was owned by my buddies, and that was like the punk rock greaser bar that like had just great cheap food, awesome cheap beer, a fantastic jukebox. And then that shit happened, and that got gobbled up, and the people that bought it, it just got really ugly. And people, there was like this thing where like never step foot in there again. And the whole neighborhood never went in there ever. Like the place stayed open after I got took over. I think it lasted a year, and it went from lines of people out the door to dead.
Wow.
So just to give you an idea of sort of what Plaza Midwood's like. So this thing happens around these condos, and Mark and Brian, who own the Thirsty Beaver Saloon, pretty much just, the guy that owned the property was like, I don't want to sell it. If you guys don't want, unless you guys want to close the bar. And the boys are like, we don't want to close the bar. So they stayed there. And the neighborhood obviously just started to rally around it, started showing up. They lost their parking. They found other places to park. So now when you drive by there, if you go on Facebook or like Order Fire, we just put up, since this is going to be our next event, you can see a picture. If you think of the house and up, that is this bar. It is surrounded by 12 floors of condo apartments on both sides and behind it. And then there's this orange ratty-ass building with a sign that's falling apart, and Christmas lights strung up. Looks like a Christmas Story when he plugged in the leg. It looks like that. It looks like a fire hazard ready to go down. But yeah, I know it's crazy. But the bar's not going anywhere, and that's, to me, that was a symbol that we needed for this episode. There's people in Charlotte that don't necessarily want the growth in the way that we're getting it here. So that's sort of what the season's about, is how we balancing it.
Are those the natives thinking they don't want the growth?
Well, we're not sure. Who doesn't want growth, right? I mean, as a business owner, it's great. Yep. If you own the property that your house is on, it's great. But as a culture, as a cultural thing in the city, do you not want to have old buildings? Do you not want to have historical neighborhoods? God, I sound like an old person. But I mean, these were, we take it for granted where we grew up. We have amazing old architecture all over the place. And when you don't have it, like when you grow up with it and you move someplace where you don't see it, you miss it. It's like missing bread or missing freaking tomato pie. You miss old architecture. So I hate to see it get torn down. So I really wanted to explore change this season. I mean, number one, because of what I got going on in my personal life, but number two, what's going on in the city. And it's just, to me, like, I can't disconnect my project from who I am. Mm-hmm. So doing Mark and Brian is the one that I'm most excited about. Number one, because it's a bar that I barely remember spending 5 to 10 years in, just because we had such a good time. I guess that's one word for it. And but at the same time, these guys have opened up 3 businesses, and every time they open up a business, it starts in a neighborhood like that, and this neighborhood ends up within a couple of years, within 5 to 6 years, becoming the next hot neighborhood. So they own 3 businesses. 2 of them are in neighborhoods that they couldn't afford to open up this business today. Like the rent would be non-existent. So that's sort of like, these guys are, to me, the epitome of change in Charlotte, because they're both like purveyors of and a symbol against. So it's going to be a compelling story, and they're just fantastic dudes anyways.
Nice, man. And do you release it every so often? Do you have a set date when you release your episodes? Or?
Yeah, we do it. We do it once a month. We generally do, I think we've settled on about 9 episodes, give or take, a season. Mm-hmm. And so most of our screening parties are in the fall, and this is a football city because we have football here. Mm-hmm. So we have to so we don't do it like every third Sunday, because we have to sort of make sure that the Panthers aren't playing at home and they're not playing like Atlanta or a big market team, so we kind of dance around that one. And I think every season we always end up having one show that just goes up against a Panthers game that we don't want to go up against. So we try to get it done early and then drop we have a big screen anyways, and just project the game immediately so people can enjoy a good beer.
Where can people up here check out your webisode?
So if they go to, it's orderfire.tv, mm-hmm. and we have every single episode that we've ever done, plus a bunch of other like outtakes and these little I forgot what Pete's calling them. They're like quick minute recipes things. It's like me making chicken wings. We've done a couple of cocktail ones. Nice. So I think we're trying to figure out how to do this stuff as content based and how to turn that into we were talking before we got on air, and I think that's how we're going to find money. Like if we're going to do this, mm-hmm. we're going to have to become content providers.
Yep.
So, but we're not. That's something that's outside my realm of I don't know how the fuck to do that.
Mentioning you were talking about being in a bar and stuff like that. Back in August, I remember reading this article that you wrote for Charlotte5.com about mm-hmm. how you took a weekend off from drinking or just painting the house or something, and it turned into like a sobriety thing. It hit home for me, that whole article, reading that. Just for the simple fact is you grow out of the whole drinking and partying thing, and at least I did. It's not something that's super important to me anymore. Like back in the day, I was like, yeah, let's go rage and go check out this band and all that. And this, you know how it is. I mean, we hung out a lot back in the day, and growing out of all that and going into like, I already did my drinking, I already did my drugs, I already did my partying. I want to try something else, and that's kind of like what spoke to me about your article. It's like, again, you and I running the same parallel lives almost in a way. And talk about that article and like, what the sobriety thing means to you and all that.
Yeah. So true story. I mean, I'm sitting in the room that sort of sparked the whole thing. I got home on a Saturday just before Thanksgiving. And so we split up the holidays down here, and Thanksgiving, me being the chef, it makes sense. Obviously, that's going to be mine, right? I mean, I'm still involved with the feast. I'm still involved with the Feast of the Seven Fishes, and on Christmas Eve, my wife's family is Italian. We do that. Don't miss tomato pie as much as you think. Thank God, my father-in-law, my sister-in-law make tremendous tomato pie. Nice. So I get my fix. So anyways, I had been procrastinating, and by procrastinating, meaning I get out of work, I get home, I crack open a beer, and my intensity level just drops. It's like you get into relaxation mode. It's almost like vacation mode. It's like you're at work, and I'm like, this may not speak to everybody, but for me, it's like what I do for a living. We internalize so much pressure and stress because everything filters through the chef, and we have to have the answer. If we don't have an answer, we're worthless as chefs, really. So, I had been putting off. I had painted all the walls. I got these walls, I got the walls painted really quick. And of course, it's the easiest job to do. It's doing the woodwork that sucks. Who wants to fucking paint trim? You spend 2 hours, it doesn't look like you got shit done. So, you know what I'm talking about, right? Oh, yeah. Okay, good. I'm like, God, maybe this is only for me.
That's exactly what you're talking
so anyways,
about.
I started working on the trim, and, so I got home and I found you remember Night Flight, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I found the Night Flight channel because of DJ Rose. He's got the Halo tattoo out in Syracuse.
Okay.
And he posted up a thing about Night Flight TV, and I was like, oh, what the fuck is this? I love Night Flight. Like, that's where I got, my first taste of punk music was that and Ben Van Leeuwen.
Same here.
So, what, Night Flight?
Night Flight, yeah. It was on the USA Network back in the day. Remember that?
The first time I heard the word anarchist, I thought I heard Antichrist. And I'll be honest with you, the Catholic in me, I got so fucking scared. I was like, oh, shit. God, what a way better world that was.
No doubt. A lot easier.
Far simpler. Well, not better world, but it was simpler for some of us. Mm-hmm. So anyways, I turned this thing on, and lo and behold, it's like every single old punk rock documentary that I had heard about or had fifth generation copy of, where the lines would just do that in front of your face all day. They were on. I was like, oh shit, this is what I'm getting into this weekend while I'm painting. This is going to be amazing. So I put it on, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go grab a beer, and I'm going to get going. And I'm like, I'm going to not have that beer right now, because if I do that, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to sit down with my fat ass on this couch, and I'm not moving all weekend. So I was like, I'll have a beer after I get done. That'll give me purpose to get through. Plus, on top of it, if I have one beer, I'm going to have two. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to get and this is what I said in the article, I get sloppy. Your intensity level goes down. You're like, I'm meticulous when I'm painting. I love to paint, but it's a pain in the ass. I love edging more than anything else, because that's that type of work that, when you're doing it, if anybody ever comes across that work, even though they don't know who it is, they'll look at it and go that's good work, And I remember when I was younger, when I worked on old houses for people, painting or doing drywall or stuff, I would see when people did good work on their paint. And I was always like that, I don't know who that person is, but that person impressed me. And for some odd reason that spoke to me. So I've always thought that way in its own weird sense. So I start working on the trim work, and I got towards the tail end of the night, and honestly, all I really wanted was a bowl of vanilla ice cream. There was the weirdest craving. I was like, yeah. And of course, part of me thinking hey, I'm why don't you see if you go the whole weekend? But I'm not saying anything to anybody, because I'll just set myself up for failure. I'll just look yep, he said he was going to not drink this weekend, and he did it again. So But in my head, I'm having this conversation. Like, all right, do I have a beer? Do I have the ice cream? Fuck it, have the ice cream. Like, finish all the work, and then you can have a beer, and that beer is going to be that much better. So I'm like, all right, get up on Sunday, finish all the trim work, and I'm thinking to myself, but that's really a lot easier than I thought. Now, mind you, it wasn't like I was out raging all the time.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, I was coming home having 2 beers, 3 beers every night. I mean, I stopped by the brewery and drink for free, and it's some of the best beer in the city. And they're like, here, take a crowler home. So, I mean, it's not, it's like I have beer and had beer everywhere I could possibly want it. But so when I got through on Sunday, I'm like, well, I thought my sister-in-law's boyfriend was taking a dry break, and I was like, well, shit, if he's doing it, maybe I can be his dry buddy, right? Because it's always kind of like the awkward thing to be the person not drinking on a holiday where everybody else is drinking, and not partying heavy, but just drinking because it's expected. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll just get through to Thanksgiving. I'll do Thanksgiving dinner without my usual MO, which is get everything going, then make a Bloody Mary, and then by the time we leave, I'm sweaty and kind of drunk. And then I got to carry food to my in-laws or have it here, or whatever the case may be. So by the time we got to Thanksgiving, of course, I found out that he was not sober. He hadn't quit. He hadn't taken a break. So at that point, I decided I wasn't going to not drink. I was not going to drink out of hatred, like out of anger. I was going to be angry sober. I was like, oh, well, fuck you then. I'll show you. So I was like, well, we'll just get through. I'll get through to Black Friday. And then I got through the weekend, and it was just like, by the time I got a week in, we were getting ready for our next order fire event. So that's a bunch of chefs, which means that's a bunch of drinking. And I was like, well, shit. I mean, I can have a beer then. I'm going to wait till we have our order fire event. Then I'll drink. And once I gave myself permission to go ahead, like I could drink whenever I wanted to, the absolute desire to ever have, like, to drink all went away. All the pressure, like, for me, it was always like, I'd have a beer when I got someplace when there was a lot of people around because of, like, I wouldn't feel as like anxious or self-conscious or whatever. I mean, I know it's really weird when people go like, shit, this guy likes to talk to people. He's really open. I'm fucking shy as hell. So having a beer always took the edge off of that anxiety, like that I would get, especially when I was expected, like, for me, I'd put these expectations that I thought other people had on me, and that was sort of part of my MO for drinking. But once I took away the power of not drinking, of like saying you couldn't drink and going like, oh my God, there's this pressure that I can't, that's going to make me drink. And the minute that I said, oh, I can drink. But once I got up past like 2 weeks, that was the longest I'd gone without drinking in most of my adult life. Straight, like 14 days without having a drink. So then it became about like a high score number for me. I'm like, well, shit, how many, it's like, if I have a beer, I can have one with you right now. And I mean, like having you to the club would be outstanding. But the funny thing is, it's like, damn, I'm like this far away from 1 year. And like the high score, having my 3 initials next to that, it's worth so much more than having that beer.
So how long's it been?
What's that?
So how long's it been?
So I looked while we got off. So I'm 20 days out from 1 year.
Okay.
So 345 days.
Nice. And it's not really like a 12-step thing for you or anything like that. It's just more of a mental thing, a challenge to yourself pretty much, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a combination of things, man, to be honest with you. It's like I started a couple of years back. I took up pottery, which was probably the single greatest thing I've ever done for myself. I mean, it sounds super gay, and I mean that in the most loving way, but I mean, it's just like I pick up pottery. Like, get the fuck out of here. 20-year-old me heard 48-year-old me, I'd slap myself. Was it a $5 slap? It'd be a $2.50 slap, because that'd be about all it's worth. But I took up pottery, and it was one of those moments for me and I'm not like, the obvious escapes me like so much, like it shits right in my face, and I'm just like, I'm like a toddler. I'm like, oh, it's all wonderful, and somebody be like, that's a bee's nest at your hands, and I'm like, oh wow, it really is. It's like that. Sometimes I think I just get caught up in stupid shit. But when I sat down and started doing pottery, you got to center the clay. That was my life. Like the stupid metaphor came about. So I was already sort of working through like some wellment for myself, like. By the time I decided not to drink, I was already starting to think about my mental health in a way that I had never thought about it. The way that this industry, I allowed this industry to change me in ways that I became codependent on this industry and its behavior.
Yep.
I started to think about things, and I didn't go into this. Like I said, I went into this solely to just take a weekend off. And along the way, I started using words like wellness and recovery in ways that, to me, when I was 20, I would have been like, that's stupid. It's like that. I'm like, for me, recovery is from sickness, and I didn't feel that what I had was a sickness. It was more of a social disease than it was being sick. When I think about alcoholics, I think about Leaving Las Vegas. You think about you think about a character like that that's gutter drunk. You don't think about somebody who works 14 hours a day, drinks for 6 hours worth of drinking and 2 hours after work because that's all you got that time to do all that. That in and of itself should be enough for any smart person to go like, yeah, that's a problem. So along in the course of this year, I started using words that I never did, and it started to reevaluate my relationship with alcohol. And I don't advocate people not to drink the same way that, well, not true about smoking. I quit smoking 5 years ago, and I think it's disgusting. Part of me, I have to think that way because I think cigarettes are one of those things that I could easily fool myself back into doing,
Yep.
So I haven't had a craving, but it's because I had to change my relationship with that completely. And I think that helped along the line. I think that and some other stuff helped sort of my getting through the alcohol, getting through this past year and recognizing these little things. But anyways, I started when I first started, I decided that I was going to sort of share this out in social media land. Just a little post. Part of it was to keep myself honest. Part of it was to make sure that my friends knew not to maybe try to ply me with nice bourbon, which, down here is a plenty. So I figured if I kind of kept it out there, and my buddy Ben Philpott, who's a chef buddy from back home, will tell you, it's like, enough already. He got sick after about the second post. But even though he's from Georgia, he's a Utica boy at heart because he breaks balls in a way that Utica people break balls from here. But you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So anyways.
Do you think it's something that you might crack a beer open down the road? Or you just want to stick to, do you think it's something that you might crack a beer open down the road, or do you think this is something that you're going to stick with probably for the rest of your life?
I don't know. I remember my dad, when he quit drinking some years back, I was in my early 20s, and I remember going it'd be awesome to have a beer with my dad. And he had stopped drinking because of whatever medication that he got on. And I'm sure that he probably had some of his own shit to deal with. His relationship with alcohol, I don't really know. But I remember being bummed out by that, which was really odd when I look at it now in perspective, because even that early on, I already had an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. So no, I don't know. I don't do this whole, I'm never drinking again, but I don't really I for the first time, I think the hardest thing for people when they don't drink or when they think about it is being able to picture their life without it. Because you're like, oh shit, it's like Thanksgiving's coming up, or I'm going to see this band with my boys, or this or that, or the next thing. And it's like you're constantly giving yourself a reason to not quit, to not take a break, to whatever. For me, these were the things that I had to deal with when I was looking at my relationship with alcohol. And I was just like, it's not healthy. I can go to a show and have a great time. I don't have to be fucked up to have a great time. I mean, I've had a great time being fucked up at shows too, but I think to have the option of doing both, I kind of like being present more so because I remember everything about the show as opposed to just this big fuzzy, it was a great time. What specifically? It was fucking awesome. It's like I'm a sucker for details, so I'm finding that the clarity, and as cliche as it sounds, that's the thing I'm enjoying the most about it. So, might I crack a beer at some point down the road? Yeah, absolutely. I had to pick up some wine yesterday for, I made mushroom stew. Old school style, we used to do at Joey's.
Nice.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the only way you make mushroom stew, right? So I was like, we had to hit the store, and I was like, when I grabbed that bottle of wine, I actually had to think about the wine that I wanted, and I was like, Cabernet. I'm going to grab a Cab. And that was the first time in almost a year where I was like, my mouth kind of tasted it. Does that, you know what I mean?
No, I know.
So I haven't. Now,
the taste buds start jumping a little bit.
Yeah, you know, it was the first time that I had, I guess, what you call a craving. So I do, and here's the weird thing: I do collaborative brewing with the guys at the brewery. So like I've made 2 beers since I've been sober. So I will allow myself to taste a beer. And by taste of beer, I mean no more than 2 ounces, and I've yet to even do 2 ounces. But if I want to like take a sip or taste something that's special, like I'm not going to do the whole like, you know, never a sip between the cup and the lips, or however the old saying goes. Like I'm not advocating for teetotaling. I'm just not drinking.
You got to try your creation though, you know, at least sample it.
Oh fuck yeah, dude! It's like as a chef, it's hard, and I mean that's the one thing I think I miss. What I do miss is drinking my friends' beers. Like they put a lot of work into their beer, and you know it's interesting. I've gathered a group of people on Instagram, particularly that have started following my page because of my sobriety posts, and it's got to be confusing. I know it's confusing because I've gotten DMs from them, but it's got to be super confusing for me to have these very positive wellness, you know, non-drinking posts, and then a week later it's like, you know, here's a post about something going on at the brewery. Here's my mixology friends, and some of these people are very, very, because their relationship was much more different than mine. So I imagine that some people have very easy trigger points to want to start drinking again. So I almost feel guilty when I post it up, but you know, my friends are my friends, and I support everything that they do.
Right on, brother. I see the Utica picture behind you. It's is that the clock? Is that the Utica clock? Yeah, I love it. Do you come up to visit at all?
Scott, I haven't been up in 10 years.
10 years?
Almost 10 years. Yeah, life gets busy, man. We had a restaurant, and then the recession hit, and then my boys started growing up, and then next thing you know, it's like, you know, so it's like, yeah, it's been 10 years. And it's funny, I didn't actually choose that because it's there. That's just where it sits. Scott Bennett, a friend of ours from back home, he was actually a Sequoia boy, but he came down to visit us this past summer with his wife and his kids and a nephew, and we took him around Charlotte, and he was like, you know, it's awesome to show Charlotte off to somebody who isn't from here and like grew up from back home. And we got to see it almost brand new again from somebody that we grew up with. So, you know, we're sharing this whole thing. And then he reached out and was like, hey, what's your address? So we gave him our address, and then this thing showed up. And it's like, I don't know. Like, so here's the thing. Like, I have no idea why he sent it to us other than it's a Utica clock. There's nothing significant about the time or anything else like that. But who the fuck cares? It's great. Somebody thought about it and sent it to us, and it's a piece of home that we didn't have.
It's 10 of 10 on that clock, is it? Is that what it is?
Yeah, well, it's 10
of 11.
Yeah, 10 something. I don't know. I use digital now.
There you go. Mark, this has been great to talk to you, man. We've got a few people chiming in to saying hello. Gabe Altamero saying hello, and who else we got? We got a couple thumbs up coming in. Kenneth Murphy saying chicken riggies. I guess we got to give the ding, right? That's $20 to the Joe Sweet College Fund.
God, nobody's showing Joe no love.
No one's showing Joe love, I know. No one's saying chicken riggies.
We should put together a fucking telethon, dude.
Yeah.
For Joe Sweet.
Joe Basie wants you to do a Smith grind. I'm sure that's a skateboarding.
I want to do a Smith grind. God damn.
Do you have your boys skateboarding now?
Yeah, well, both my boys skate.
Do they?
I kind of haven't really been on a board in about 2 years. Like, I think it's probably about 2 years ago. My youngest was like, he's outside. It's like, can you do a heel flip? Can you do a kick flip? And it's like, I landed the first one and then just like walked away and went in the house and like, like bent over. It's like, get the tub ready. Now my boys are like super rad. Like I love, like they're completely not, they're opposites, right? I got my oldest who's he's positively just like me by being exactly the opposite of me. Because I did that was how I was with my dad. It's like, if my dad's this, fuck it, I'm doing that. So he's doing the same thing, which makes him exactly like me, right? And then my youngest he's all into, like, he's got some of the greatest taste in music. Like, I'll go upstairs and he's pulling shit out. I didn't turn him on to it. It's like, But he's banging out Leonard Cohen the other day, and I'm a Tom Waits fan, not a Leonard Cohen fan. And for some odd reason, like he was playing it, and I'm like, I could get into that. So he's the punk rock skater, musician, art kid. Like he's everything. People that know me would probably go, "That's your kid." My oldest would go, he looks just like you, but he's nothing like me. It's funny. But that's the one thing. Like they'll both throw the boards into Lucas's car. We've got a bunch of skate parks here, which I see Utica's got a couple of skate parks now.
Yeah, there's two or
right,
one, one or two.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome. Yeah, we got. I mean, just having a park there. I mean, Jesus Christ! Like all we had was Winston kicking us out of every spot that we skated in.
Jimmy
Winston.
Is
that guy still around?
Yeah, I believe it. He's retired. He's definitely retired, but he's still around. It's funny. I seen him over the summer. It's funny you say that. But back when we were skateboarding, it was a crime.
Yeah, exactly. It's like everywhere you went, they kick you out. I mean, I don't know if you watched any skate videos like recently. Like,
nah.
Oh my God! Like all the stuff that you would just kind of dream about, like the stuff that seemed absolutely impossible, like anti-gravity boot type things. Like it'll just sail this way in the board and do all this, and you're like, impossible. Like we've really hit like the pinnacle. It's like you kick flip a board and 360 a board, and that's going to be about it on flat ground. Holy shit, dude. Like my mind, like I'm watching it and I feel like I'm like looking at an alien for the first time. And you're talking to somebody who grew up on a skateboard. I picked up my first board in 1977. And I'm looking at what these kids are pulling off. I'm like, nope, I have no idea what that is.
Back when you had the plastic skateboards back in 77, right?
Yeah. GT and Hobie making plastic boards.
Right on, brother. Well, Mark, this has been great to catch up with you. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media and where they can find Order Fire and all that. Plug all your social media and your websites and all that.
All right, kids, get your pens and papers ready because I know you've been waiting for this moment. On Facebook, you can find me as it's just Marc C. Jacksina. Social media, on Instagram, same thing. Twitter, same thing. Order Fire, you can find us on the web at orderfire.tv. Facebook, you can just find if you Google search Order Fire. Same for Instagram, find it there. And we always got a bunch of cool shit going on, that's for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like it. You're a busy man. I like it.
It's no more busier than you, brother.
Yeah, got a lot going on, but it's good. You got to stay grinding, right?
Pick the beer up a little bit.
You want to see it?
Can you pick the beer up? There you go. That's awesome. So this is year 2 on that?
This is year 2 on the Real Men Wear Pink, yes. Year 2. And by the way, we are still taking donations. We got a couple more days left for making strides against breast cancer. So please go out and donate to our Real Men Wear Pink. We're way behind on our goal, but I think we could get somewhere close to it if we keep grinding it the next couple of days. So,
what's your goal?
It's like $2,500. Last year I destroyed my goal, and this year I got more people on my team, and we're nowhere near it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
I'm slacking.
I'm ready. It's not me. It's not me. But Marc Jacksina, success and nothing less, my brother. I wish you all of that and more, and keep doing your thing. And I'm proud of you. I like watching your journey and seeing where it's taken you. And this has been a great conversation. And we must do this again, man.
Likewise, brother. Thanks for having me and being patient about it. I know you've been trying to get me on here for quite some time. I apologize for my sometimes aloofness.
No need to apologize whatsoever. I got crazy busy over the summer, but I remember reading that article, and I'm like, I got to have him on after reading that article because I related to it so well.
Well, keep doing what you're doing, man. It's
Thanks, man.
Awesome. Like, I love turning this thing on and catching people I haven't seen in a while, like Tom Borgia, for instance. It was great seeing Tom on there. He's exactly the same.
Oh, yeah. He's a maniac, that's for sure.
Indeed.
Well, thanks again, man. And before we get out of here, I got to give some love and respect out to my sponsors, NYE Volkswagen of Rome. Stop in their showroom at 5865 Taberg Road in Rome and see why all their customers love their NYE V-Dub. Mention the D, mention Disruption Network, receive $250 off any vehicle purchase. Pretty cool. Thanks, guys, for hooking us up with that. Not bad at all, right? What are you driving these days, Mark?
I am on a Subaru finally. I've been a Volkswagen man for a good portion of my life.
I knew you used to have a Bug, right? Or right?
Yeah. I loved it. But with having 2 teenage boys and a wife and a boxer dog that likes to go for rides, having a bug was not smart.
Right.
And nobody likes to drive stick in this house, so I had to get something different.
So you went over to the Lesbaroo, huh?
Exactly. That's exactly right.
The official vehicles of all lesbians.
And that's what they tell me.
It's funny. And then I got to give some love and respect out to my friend over at EJA Moving Company, the professional movers. Hit them up if you're looking to relocate or move your office. Complete packing and unpacking services. They make it simple and easy for you to move and relocate. Hit them up online, ejamoving.com. And I also want to remind everybody we've got our comedy benefit happening Saturday, November 10th at Wakely's, 700 Varick Street, the old electric company, Mark. I'm sure you remember that place at one time, right?
Vaguely remember it.
Hashtag my blackout years. But we're
blackout years. Did you say?
Those are my blackout years for sure.
Time traveling.
I would never want to time travel and take a look at what we did back then because I'd be like, what an idiot I was.
Thank God we didn't have social media, Z.
Oof, we'd be in jail right now. But we're headed out to the old stomping grounds on November the 10th, hosted by our good friend Genesee Joe from 92.7 FM The Drive. DJ East One, as Mark knows him, is Gabe Altamero on the turntables. And we got some funny comedians coming to the table. Mike Ciccone, Paul Kozlowski, Cortland Cluse, and Michael Alfred Pileggi, who is my producer around here. In fact, I got to give Pileggi some love because he's the one that kind of put this whole thing together. Donation, that's your admission into the place. If you could donate clothes, supplies, or even a small monetary donation, all proceeds and supplies to the Central New York Veterans Outreach Center. Doors open at 7, show starts at 8, and some love and respect out to our sponsors, NYE Volkswagen of Rome, Paulie's Barbershop, 92.7 FM The Drive, Frank's Gun, and CNY Seal Koenig and Concrete. Lots and lots of stuff going on.
It was awesome hearing all those last names with vowels on the end. I missed that. I'm telling you right now, I missed that.
You miss all the vowels, huh?
At the end, yes.
Oh, that's so funny, Mark. You're shot. Let's do this again, though, brother. I feel like we need to do this again and communicate a lot more. And if you need any promotion on my end, please feel free to reach out, and we'd love to share the order fire and anything you got going on. So please keep us in the loop.
Anytime, man. I loved it. It was a great time. It was absolutely blast. We got so much that we didn't even touch.
You're right. We didn't even scratch the surface, and I feel like maybe we should schedule something again and talk more, shoot the shit, if you will. Bill Kessler is saying, yo, Jacksina. So you're getting some fans out there, that's for sure. Mark, thanks again, brother. Good to talk to you, and we will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's guest, Gina Cha-Cha from the Abraham House, coming on to talk about the benefit that they got going on this Saturday. So that's all happening. And on Wednesday, I got to mention, we're stealing a Volkswagen from NYE Volkswagen, and we're joining up with our friends from Utica Coffee, and we're delivering coffee to all the police departments. So that's going to be it's the first time ever I'm walking into a police department willingly. So we're going to see how that works out. We're going to see.
They all know you by face, see?
Yeah. I got a good relationship with all the cops. I do want to remind everybody they can listen to this podcast and previous podcasts of EC Radio on demand at disruptionnetwork.net. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We're pretty much all over the social medias, so you can check us out there and pretty much everywhere. Also, iTunes and Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, pretty much everywhere. Anywhere podcasts are heard, we're all over the place, man. You were on like 10 different platforms today. That was like, we're on YouTube, Twitch, Streamy, Periscope, Twitter, all of them. I don't know. I don't even know all of them. I should know them all, but I don't. I don't know. I'm still old when it comes to this.
It's like talking to my kids. I'm like, I don't know what the hell you mean.
The common answer when it comes to a teenager, I don't know.
Indeed.
Mark, good to see you, brother. We're out of here. I'll see you tomorrow. Later.
Thanks, Z.
You know what the hell you're listening to? It's EC Radio.
Help the D make strides against breast cancer by donating to our Real Men Wear Pink page, main.acsevents.org/Utica. It's important for us as a whole to help raise awareness, education, and do our part to help fight this horrible disease. The Disruption team will be raising funds at upcoming events and all our daily programming. Please support our cause by donating a few dollars to our Real Men Wear Pink page. To learn more, visit main.acsevents.org/Utica or follow the donation link on our Facebook page. Help the D, save the B's, and put an end to breast cancer.
Thank you for your service, you're welcome. A comedy benefit show for our veterans. In support of the Central New York Veterans Outreach Center. On November 10th at Wakely, 700 Varick Street, Utica, join Disruption Network as they team up with 92.7 FM The Drive for this night of laughter. The evening will be hosted by Genesee Joe from The Drive. Performances by Mike Ciccone, Paul Kozlowski, Cortland Kloos, Mike Pileggi, and DJ Ease One. Admission is by donation only. Please bring clothes, socks, gloves, non-perishable food items, or a small monetary donation. All donations will go to the Central New York Veterans Outreach Center. Saturday, November 10th at Wakely's on Varick Street. Doors open at 7 p.m. Show starts at 8 p.m. Thank you for your service is sponsored by The D, 92.7 FM The Drive, Paulie's Barbershop, NYE Volkswagen of Rome, Frank's Guns, and Central New York Seal Coating and Concrete.
So you just bought your dream home, and now it's time to move. Let's face it, nobody likes to move. All the packing, unpacking, lifting, upstairs, downstairs, and broking everything, including your back. Let the professionals at EJA Moving Company take all the stress and pain out of your move. Competitively priced moving, relocation services, office moves, and complete packing and unpacking services. They work with everybody to make it simple and easy for you to move and relocate. Call EJA Moving Company at 315-335-0516. When it's time to relocate, have EJA Moving do all the work for you. Hit them up online, ejamoving.com.
Hey, Disruption Network. This is Mike Sacco, the general manager at NYE Volkswagen of Rome. If you don't know me by name, it's only because you have not received the best deal. There's only one reason to leave Utica, and that's to come see me in Rome and get the best deal on your next new, pre-owned, or certified VW. Mention that you heard this ad from Disruption Network and receive $250 off your next vehicle purchase. You'll know why our customers say, I love my NYE VW. Come see us at 5865 Rome Taberg Road in Rome or visit us online at nyevwofrome.com.
The Property Sisters of the Mohawk Valley was born when 3 top producing agents with over 25 years of combined experience selling real estate joined forces to take real estate to the next level. We practice with honesty, integrity, and the knowledge to help make the buying and selling process easy and stress-free for all of our clients. We pledge to always make our clients our top priority from start to finish and even after the house is closed. We will always be a valued resource for information and assistance for our buyers and sellers. Our customers over the years have become not only past clients, but great friends. As we join hands together as the Property Sisters of the Mohawk Valley, we look forward to serving our clients and our community and making a positive difference. You can reach us at 315-601-9630 for all of your real estate needs.
The Disruption Network is making moves. For upcoming events, news, interviews, and new daily programming, keep in the loop with us at DisruptionNetwork.net. Like, follow, and subscribe to all our social media. And check out all our podcasts on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify. Get up on the D, DisruptionNetwork.net.
Only on the D!